Facebook family. It is March 27th, 7 p.m., 2024. March 27th, 2024, 7 p.m. Elevate, uh, equipping leaders of tomorrow. And it is our Wednesday Facebook Live. So it's great to have you guys there. And I hope we got more people coming. I wanted to hope that everybody had a great day today. They made the most out of today. And I hope that tomorrow will be the same and finish out this week. We are almost to Easter. 1/4 of the year is almost up. Uh, I don't know what to say. It's just moving fast. It's moving fast. If you're on, please put your comments down. I see Ann. Ann, it's good to see you. We got a little time if you feel like updating us. My parents are on. If you feel like updating us with Karen, Mother Brenda's on. So if you can give us a little update. I know that you sent out an update, and it seemed like things are going well. But if you had anything else to add, if you feel like it, please put it on there. Very excited about today. Very excited about what we're going to talk about. Today's episode is called Hope Cards. Hope Cards, and it's episode 129. Hope Cards. Hey, Mother Brenda. Did I miss anybody? I think we got one more person. So if you're on, please chime in, put your name down so that we know you're out there. But basically, today, I want to do some shout outs. You know, here it is, March 27th. We got Tamika on. Good to see you, Tamika. Carrie's doing well, getting better with her memory. Physical therapy, great job. Great. It's great. Definitely, we get to continue to pray for Karen. She's making, leaps and bounds, man. Just things are going in the right direction. It's great to see. That's phenomenal. So want to do some other shout outs. Want to shout out the Houston Cougars. Man, I don't know if you guys are March Madness fans. Let me know if you are, but the Houston Cougars are in the Sweet 16. They're the only Texas team that's men's basketball anyway that's in the Sweet 16. Aunt Stephanie's on. Thanks, Aunt Stephanie. So very excited about the U of H. That's Shar's alma mater. And I'm a big fan of the coach because he used to coach Oklahoma and he used to whoop up on Texas. So I just had a lot of respect for him. And he went into the pros for a little while, I think as an assistant, and he came back and he's been coaching college basketball. And when we got him here in Houston, I knew he was going to do a great job. That's just the guy he is. And he's getting older. So I worry because he's never won a championship. So Cougars are doing well. I also wanted to give a shout out to the UT women. They're in the Sweet 16 college basketball. They're in the Sweet 16. So great job, UT women. One thing I want to add, just because we got some Aggies on here, that was a great game between U of H and the Aggies. Man, that had me stressed out. That game was awesome. Went into overtime, 13-point lead with the Cougars had a 13-point lead, I think, with 55 seconds. So, of course, the other team just starts fouling. Next thing you know, they take that thing into overtime. Oh, my goodness. It was rough. Much respect for the A&M men's basketball team. They did super, super well. They did really well. And then I want to give a shout out to Kai. So, Kai's in AAU. He's 13 years old. He's almost 6 feet tall. He'll tell you he's 6 feet. I think he's 5'11" and a half. But anyway, Kai had 2 games on Saturday, and he had a game on Sunday. And basically the way it works is when they have these weekend games, they're all tournaments. So Kai goes in the first game, and I want to say the score was 38 to – what was it? It was 38 to 22. Or 38 to 23. So Kai's team won. Kai scored 23 points of the 38. He almost outscored the other team by himself. I mean, it was I thought we had Baby Jordan out there. Everything he threw up was going in, and it was just it was a sight to see, And then the second game, they had a player that had to be about 6'3". And they needed Kai to defend him. So they put Kai on him, and he shut the boy down. The boy still did good, but you can tell that he wasn't doing like he normally does, because everybody was people in the fans, in the stands were complaining, and they were frustrated, and the kid got frustrated and threw Kai to the ground. It was like a moment, man. I was like, man, whew, it started to get intense. Man, I thought I was going to have to get involved, but uh, it was it was intense. So that's Saturday. So then we go to Sunday. That's the championship game. So some of these AAU teams, they'll have one team, and let's say they call the team family. Well, they'll divide that team into the experienced and the non-experienced. So Kai's team is the experienced, and then they have a non-experienced, and then other teams will do that too. So the next day, uh, they're playing the experienced version of the team they just beat, and they beat them too. They had another guy, looked like he was about 6'2", 6'3", walking around cocky, and they beat him, and they beat them handedly. So there's pictures on Facebook with Kai with his teammates. We went to what's that chicken place that I don't like? It's a chicken strip place, Raising Cane's. With the Raising Cane's, that's what they wanted to go, but he did awesome. Uh, Mother Brenda said, "Better be glad Granny wasn't there." So the funny thing was when Mother Brenda showed up, Kai did not play well. I don't know if he was nervous because he was playing in front of his grandmother. I don't know, but he did not play well. I was trying to tell Mother Brenda, like, he does really well when you're not here. So I'm kind of glad she didn't show up, because they needed to win that championship. So I just want to give shout outs to Kai. He did really well. Um, but today before we get into the Hope cards, I just want to talk about what is Elevate. Elevate is a coaching um, business. It's a leadership business. The Elevate stands for expectation, leadership, ethics, uh, vision, attitude, temperaments, and effectiveness. And basically, what we do is we teach leadership, and our customers usually that beginning leader, that leader that's new to the game. They were an individual that was great at what they did, and because they were great, they got an opportunity to get a team to lead. So who are we? The company's led by my wife and I, and I got over 30 years of leadership experience. Um, I don't know what to say about that. There's a lot of things you see in that time frame. There's a lot of things you can see, from death related issues to people lose their cool, to customers losing their cool, customers getting physical, employees getting physical. You just see a lot. And then of course, Shar is a business analyst, and then she's into project management, and she also has her own business. So that's what we do. So I always tell people we are doers, and there's three tiers, right? The first tier is the degree. Those are people that usually have advanced degrees, masters or higher, and they've never led anything, but they've read a lot about it. They've done interviews. They are very book smart, and they're very intelligent, and that's you can learn from them. And then you got the next level, which is the deputies, and the deputies are people that were in the inner circle of the leader. They weren't the main one, but they were in that inner circle, and they were a very important piece into getting things done. But like I said before, they're not the main person. Then you have people like my wife and I, who are the main people. We make the things happen. We make them happen. So at the end of the day, that's the people you want to learn from the most. Of course, the other two, hey, you can learn a lot. You can learn a lot from them too, but it is a difference. So that's what we're about. I already went over who our customer is, and I really want to do something different. So if you put a one down, if you feel like participating, because on this one, I really need your help on this one. I'm going to ask some questions, and we're going to need a little feedback from you guys, because I went back and forth probably over the last 2 years about Hope cards. Oh, Shar is on. I'm sorry. I didn't even say anything about Shar. So Shar is in the cupcake van at Kai's school selling cupcakes. So Kai and Melanie I don't think you guys know who Melanie is, but Melanie is a neighbor who is actually, her brother is good friends with Kai. And Melanie helps with the making of the cupcakes 2 or 3 times a week. So Char's there. And of course, I'm getting used to her not being here now, because she hasn't been here in probably two years. She ain't been over there in her seat. But anyway, Please put a one down if you can participate. I see Ann put on there that she's willing to participate. I kind of stayed away from doing hope cards because I was like, well, how are you going to do hope cards virtually? Well, it can be done. So what we're going to try to do is break down hope cards. And the reason why hope cards are so important, thank you, Mother Brenda. She says she'll participate. Tamika says she'll participate. I guess my parents don't want to participate, and I guess Aunt Stephanie doesn't want to participate. But that's fine. You ain't got to participate. It's a free world. You can do what you want to do, right? But at the end of the day, um, those coaching conversations are so important. They're so important. So to talk about communication and to talk about uh, setting goals and to talk about time management and talk about all these other things and not really spend enough time on coaching conversations is you just cannot do it. Those coaching conversations are what make and break you. So I wanted to at least touch on it. And what we're going to do is throw a couple of those hope cards on the screen and we're going to break them down a little bit. And I'm going to ask you to participate. So the four that are willing to participate, thank you. And if you guys change your mind, please chime in when these questions come up. But one thing I really wanted to highlight before we get into this was I really wanted to recommend a book. This book is, I mentioned it before, but this book is really, 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 really good. And I want to make sure I covered everything. Let's see. And I would say this: most of the conflict we have, whether it's because of some kind of change, whether it's a change, a new process comes in, and we got to change and learn the process, or there's behavior that needs to change with the individual, whatever it is. These coaching conversations, we don't just lay out a process and everybody jumps on board. You know, it don't work like that, right? So it's a battle, and these coaching conversations are so important, and they happen day in and day out, multiple times a day. And if they're not good, they're killing your business. If they're oh, I didn't see that, Tamika didn't. Oh no, what is the question? I had to sign in again. Oh no, I was asking if you put a one down if you wanted to participate, because we're gonna need some help today, because we're gonna ask some questions and we're gonna need your participation. So I was hoping that I can get everybody to participate. It's not gonna be super deep, but it's gonna be a dead in the water if we don't get any participation. So I wanted to really highly recommend this book, and I'm gonna put it on the screen. And those that are trying to build teams, this book is awesome. And I'm gonna put it on the screen. I clicked the button, and now we're waiting for the delay. Let's see. But the book is called. Let's see. Let's go past the hope cards. The book is called Crucial Conversations. And Crucial Conversations, you see over there's over 5 million copies sold. Crucial Conversations is a really good book when you're trying to understand how to coach people. Aunt Stephanie put a one, my mom put a one. And on this next two slides, I know they're small, but I want to read them to you. That's how important these are. Some of you guys that got your magnifying glasses. This is the table of contents of this book. It's the first one. The first chapter one is what is a crucial conversation and who cares? Number two, mastering crucial conversations, the power of dialogue. It goes in, that's the preface. Then it goes into part one, chapter three, choose your topic, how to be sure you hold the right conversations. I'm hoping that as we go through this, and those that are here and also those that see this later on understand how important and how powerful this book is. Number four, start with the heart, how to stay focused on what you really want. And that seems easy, but it's not, because when you're in those crucial conversations, things get said and it's easy to get emotional. So start with the heart, how to stay focused on what you really, really want. Master my stories, how to stay in dialogue when you're angry, scared, or hurt. So that's what that slide says. The next slide, part two, learn to look, how to notice when safety is at risk. And we're talking about when people are not feeling safe to communicate. A lot of leaders don't even pay attention to that. They don't even pay attention to their people enough to know if their people don't feel safe to communicate. And that's a problem. Number seven, make it safe. how to make it safe to talk about almost anything. Number 8, state my path, how to speak persuasively, not abrasively. Number 9, explore others' path, how to listen when others blow up or clam up. That's a hard one. That's a hard one for me. Some of y'all might be masters at it, but that's a hard one for me. Uh, uh, Number 10, retake your pen, how to be resilient when hearing tough feedback. Oh man, this book is tremendous. It's tremendous. That's why there's 5 million copies sold. How to finish is part 3. It says chapter 11, move to action, how to turn crucial conversations into action and results. Number 12, yeah, but advice for tough cases. And the last chapter is putting it all together, tools for preparing and learning. So this goes with the hope cards. And I hope that, those that are serious about developing their team, um, and I always tell people, I mean, it can't hurt you. The book's going to help you. It's going to help you. It can't hurt you. It's going to help you. And it's, I want to say $20, something like that. It's not that. It's not. You can get it on Amazon. They'll send it to your house the next day. It's a great book. I mean, great. Um, that's where I got the concept of a fool's choice. A fool's choice is when either you're silent or you go off. There's no in between. You're silent or you go off. And but there's other concepts in that book too. So I wanted to at least go over that. Now, this next card, tell me if you're with me. You guys okay out there? It's 716. 716. Is everybody okay? So this right here, this next slide is the actual hope card. This is the example. I have 3 of them, and this is where we're talking about. We got some ones. This is what we're talking about. Hope cards in general. So a hope card is this. The acronym stands for holistic, optimistic, purposeful, and enhancing. So what Elevate is teaching is that make sure every coaching conversation has hope. Make sure it's holistic. Make sure it's optimistic in tone. Make sure it's purposeful. Make sure that the teeth is in that conversation. Don't just sugarcoat everything because we said optimistic in tone. That is very purposeful. And then that conversation is enhancing. That means the relationship between you and that individual goes to another level after that conversation. And if you do it the right way, respect level shoots up both ways, even if the person quits. I've seen it where a person just walks out, but they're like, hey, I respect what you're trying to do, man. I get it. So that's what hope cards are about. Now, you'll see a situation, right? A situation on the hope card, but I don't want you to focus on that right now. But I want you to focus on the bottom where it says your response. What question would you ask? Now, this is the first step, and I need your help and participation. Why do you think? Why do you think we put down there? What question would you ask? Just to get some ideas from you guys. Why do you think we put that at the bottom of the hope cards? If you have any idea, please chime in. There's a very important reason, and I'm going to try to talk around it without giving the answer. But if you can, put on there, why do you think of the 5 projects I'm currently working on, which one would you want me to prioritize? Okay. Well, I didn't want the question yet. And Ann's the head of the class. And I didn't want the question yet. But I want to know why you think we would ask that question. Right there at the bottom, it says your response. What question would you ask? So every hope card, and of course you guys can't see them. There's a lot of them. There's like 35, 40 of them. But every hope card has that at the bottom. It says your response. What question or questions would you ask? Aunt Stephanie says to empower the individual. That's a good one. That's a good one. Anybody else? There's a reason why we put on there your response. What question would you ask? The reason why we put it on there is because most of the time when there's a coaching, the person comes to you and they make some statements and we never ask a question. We respond out of emotion. So the point we're trying to push is start off with a question. No matter what they say. Curtis, I hate you. Start off with a question. You hate me. There's some reason why you hate me? Is there something I did? But we're not going to respond out of emotion. You need to know what your goal is. Uh, yes, you need to know exactly where they are. So you start asking these questions to figure out where they are. But every single hope card has at the bottom. Start off with a question. What question would you ask after the situation? So this one, Ann did it already. So on one, and if there's any, we're hoping to get some feedback from everybody. But the situation is your manager seems unaware of the many projects she has given you. She has just added one more to your plate. So now you're the person that has too much to your plate. So what question would you ask your manager? And this one is a little backwards. This one's a little different. This is you being the person working for somebody. You are a leader, but you have a leader over you. So what question would you ask your leader? And put on there, of the 5 projects I'm currently working on, which one would you want me to prioritize? That's a good one. And that's perfect. That's what we're talking about, and having it in a question form. And the reason why I stayed away from these hope cards on screen is because this is meant to be interactive, where people are talking and you can see the facilitator of the coaching session having the cards in their hand, and they're asking questions, and people are saying, standing up, and they're talking, and usually what happens in this is that you get too much work and the person don't say anything. They'll go tell their mom, they'll go tell their friends on the phone, they'll go tell their fellow coworkers, but they will never ever go to their supervisor and say, of the 5 projects I'm currently working on, which one would you want me to prioritize? That's usually not what happens, and that's why we have coaching cards. Another thing that usually doesn't happen is they don't start off with a question. So that's what this is all about. It's 7:22. I got 2 more cards. Uh, let's see here. This one here. This hope card. Situation is this. You are trying to identify what is going on with an associate who has been repeatedly late to work. The associate is not engaging in the conversation and just says, I want more money. If you give me a raise, I'll do whatever you want. Your response. What question would you ask? And my dad put on there for the first one, what kind of timeline are we expecting? So on this one here, this is a typical one here. I've heard this probably a dozen times, or shoot, a lot of times. You're trying to identify what's going on with an associate who has been repeatedly late to work. The associate is not engaging in the conversation and just says, I want more money. If you give me a raise, I'll do whatever you want. Sharp put, are you crazy? Real funny. Real funny. I'm assuming that's the question you would ask the associate. But this is hard to do over this medium. But I'm telling you, this is what it's all about. If you're smooth like butter in these coaching conversations, you will have a high performing organization. What usually happens, and I want to read this quote while you guys are typing. Please type what you think your question would be. But I want at least you to hear this quote. And I know some of y'all are going to say this is a stretch to pull this quote in here, but this is a quote that says, it's by Julius Caesar. He says, it is easier to find men and women who will volunteer to die. It is easier to find men or women who will volunteer to die than to find those who are willing to endure pain with patience. The first thing I thought was leaders. It is easier to find men or women who will volunteer to die than to find those who are willing to endure pain with patience. You say, well, what does that got to do with what we're doing? Because that's the problem. We rather let the thing die than to change the way we lead. Do you understand what I'm saying? We rather let the organization, the business, we rather either let it die or suffer than to change the way we lead. We don't look at the results. We say it's them. So meanwhile, this is why I'm such a big fan. And I know I went sideways real quick while you guys are typing, but this is why I'm such a big fan of Phil Jackson. I know some of you guys know who Phil Jackson is. I know we have a lot of ladies. I'm not going to assume that the ladies don't know who Phil Jackson is. Phil Jackson, the coach of the Bulls when Michael Jordan was there. all 6 championships, why should I believe you are ready to change? Okay. Okay. All right. Um, and I'm gonna while you guys are typing, I'm gonna just hit this little story about Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson goes to the Bulls. Remember, Michael Jordan was already there. Michael Jordan was there 8 years, or even maybe he was there 7 years without Phil Jackson. Never won a championship. Phil Jackson gets there. They start winning championships. They win 6. Phil Jackson goes over to LA and starts coaching Shaq and Kobe. Shaq and Kobe were already there. They weren't winning championships. Phil Jackson gets there. They start winning championships. What Phil Jackson was really good at was not being a person who would let the thing die. He was a person that would endure pain with patience. He had a plan, and when people didn't listen, he didn't just let the thing die and say it's the people. He worked with patience and endured the pain. And that's why I like Phil Jackson. So my biggest example of that is Dennis Rodman. Some of you guys know Dennis Rodman with the crazy hair and all that kind of stuff. Dennis Rodman was with San Antonio. Dennis Rodman was a player who was with the Pistons too, right? That's where he started. When he was with San Antonio, he was averaging 17 rebounds a game. He was averaging 5.6 points, 2.2 assists. They kicked him off the team. They said, man, you're destroying our culture. They pick him up in Chicago. He performs less, actually. Instead of 5.6 a game, he had 5.2 points a game. Instead of 17 rebounds, he had 15 rebounds. Instead of 2.2 assists, he actually went up a little bit on assists, 2.8. What I'm saying is that Phil Jackson endured the pain. He was a hard guy to coach, but he endured the pain because he wanted to make sure he got what he needed. He got a championship. That was the goal. He had a goal and he endured the pain instead of just letting the dream die. And that's the difference with the leaders that are great and leaders that are not. The ones that are great, they will endure the pain. They'll look at the guy like Dennis Rodman and say, you know what? Because there's stories about Dennis Rodman, about him not coming to practice, about him taking a shower while the meeting's going on. But then he goes in the game and gets 17 rebounds at 6'7", 210 pounds. Plays his butt off. There's posters with him diving for the ball that people got up in their living room. This guy he's a Hall of Famer. But because he was hard to manage, what they do? They kicked him out and moved him out and got somebody else in. So my point is that that's what the quote is about. But back to the question. He says, "What's the?" I think Shar who put there. Why should I believe you're ready? That's what my dad put down. The question was, you are trying to identify what is going on with an associate has been repeatedly late to work. The associate is not engaging in the conversation, just says, I want more money. If you give me a raise, I'll do whatever you want. Aunt Stephanie said, what is the reason you think you deserve a raise? Shar put, what would you do if you were me? If I was not meeting expectations, would you give me more money for lack of production? Mother Brenda said, are you willing to share your goals and how thoughtful plan to move the organization forward? I got you. And then Stephanie said, I love Dennis Rodman. So all these are good. The only thing I would have started off with a question. I would have said, hey, man, do you like working here? I just would have said, I would have tried to get us off of that. And the thing that I don't assume, and I wrote this down because I didn't want to forget this, but most of us forget, and I will say this, most of us forget that they don't necessarily understand what they're saying is not what they intend. So when you're talking to an individual, I think a lot of us as leaders, we think what they say is what they meant. And you can't get stuck on what they meant. You can't get stuck on what they said, I should say. You have to back it up and be the person that kind of cuts this up and looks at that and tries to investigate what's really going on. So talk to me, man. Do you even like being here? How do you feel like? Do you feel like we do you right on this team? What's going on? I feel like there's other issues here. Are there other issues here? And we start digging in. But I don't start telling them what they're not doing. That's not what I want. I don't want to do that. That's not what I want to do as a leader. I don't want to start digging in and talking about what their failings are. You know, this is the part where I'm trying to connect with them. Now, if there's somebody you're trying to fire and you're like, hey, this is low hanging fruit, this is a great day to get them out of here, then maybe you do start attacking them as far as responding in a way as far as about their behavior and their production. But at the end of the day, the thing that I see people do when they're talking to their employees is that they assume that what that employee said is what they meant. And that's not the case. They're nervous. You're a person of power. You're a person of influence. You create their schedules. You determine how much rate of pay they make. They're not trained on how to ask questions and how to say things. So that's the key point I want to be a takeaway here. So when we're talking to people, we got to back it up and remember that, and then ask our questions, you know, and then I would come in and say, man, that's I'm just saying when you told me that, man, I don't have a problem with more money, but I need your heart in this. Is your heart in this? Is this really what you want to do? And then maybe I create a plan and say, okay, let's do this the right way for 30 days. And then after in the 30 days, here's my cell number. You text me and say, hey, we're coming up on those 30 days. And I'm going to be talking to you along the way. But you stay involved with it and we'll go from there. But at the end of the day, it's about making sure you ask questions first and making sure that you don't assume that they said what they meant. All right. The last card here is 731. Oh, Jesus. It's 731. I didn't even look at the clock and now it's past. Murray's favorite question was, do you like working here? So the last question, and I'm sorry, guys, I went over. This is why I didn't want to do this. This is hard to do over this medium. But the last situation is you assigned a new employee a very important project. He responds, I'm not sure I have the necessary experience or skills to complete this project. What questions would you ask? Questions would you ask if you were dealing with this employee? I know we're over, so I'm going to end this pretty quick. But if you got something you want to type, please type it down. What would you say to a person that says, I'm not sure I have the necessary experience or skills to complete this project? So I know we're over, so I'm going to cut this one a little short. But what I would say in a situation like this is I would try to gauge where they are as far as, are they excited? Are they upset? Are they mad? What are they? Are they just, is this a nervousness? So I would ask stuff like, well, how do you feel about giving, really, do you like being given extra responsibility? The reason I gave this to you is because this, and this. Are you still wanting those things? So I would try to dig in, but I'm always going to ask a question. And I'm not going to assume that they're going to ask me the question the right way. I'm not going to assume that what they say is what they meant. So most of the time, when a person comes like this is a person that really cares about doing it the right way, and they're just nervous. And then I'll start sharing experiences where I was in their exact same shoes. And then I would try to get them. But it's all about winning them over. It's all about getting them on board. It's all about pushing them to the next level. What do you need from me? That's a good question. So I apologize for going over 7:33. Please bring somebody with you next time, just one person if you can. We definitely want to clean up our YouTube page and get some more people off the YouTube. Really appreciate you guys coming on. I'm very happy about caring. Don't forget to like and share. And this right here, I'm gonna tell you, this is difficult for me to do these. It's hard for me to do something like this in this format. I've said it like 6 times, I know, but basically, I thank you for your participation. Uh, Look at this. Ann says, show us what you can do, and if you need help, let me know, and I'll assign a coworker to be on that call if you need it. That's a good one. you know. Uh, but the key is to always ask a question and never assume that what they said is what they meant. You got to dig in there. So you can see the book, please. Everything's recorded. The book is a great book. I hope that you guys will get it, or even if you don't get it for yourself, get it for somebody that's in leadership. it will do them very well to have that book. So thank you, Ann. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And you guys don't forget our motto: be intentional, focus on growth, and elevate now. Thank you. Thank you for letting me go over. Thank you.